Hello, this is a video about what are the best military surplus masks on the market if you're buying one as a civilian and you just want simple NBC protection from a gas mask. Now, we have 4 masks here, so I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible, not by going through loads of options. All of these masks are 40mm NATO masks. I would heavily advise against getting Warsaw packed GOS style masks simply for the reason it's getting hard to find good filters for them, and there is no easy way of converting them to take 40mm NATO filters. All of the masks here take 40mm NATO filters, which means you can generally get the filters for sensible prices and many different options of filters available. What I am not going to cover in this video, but it might be worth considering for many people, is industrial masks that take a kind of bayonet filter. 3M makes many of these. You can probably buy a full head size mask for about £80 or $80, and those masks will let you use 3M filters or whatever brand of filter it is, and in the long run they might be cheaper to get the filters for. However, my experience is with military respirators, so what we're going to look at here is 4 different masks that generally turn up all around the world, at least with one of these masks, and you can get them at sensible prices normally, and they all offer a very good level of protection and comfort. So what we have at the very top left is the Israeli civilian gas mask. Technically it's known as the Shalon 4A1. Now this mask is very good. I've covered it before. I think personally it's one of the best masks on the market for civilians. It was designed with civilians in mind. It was designed, well, originally it was a Draeger mask, but Israel bought the rights to produce it, and they have it in mind for a civilian population that doesn't really know how to do much with gas masks, so you don't need military training to put it on. An important fact of the adult version of this mask, which you can see there, is it is a one-size-fits-all mask, which means you don't have to measure your head size before getting it. You simply get the mask, fully undo the straps, put your head into it, and then fully tighten the straps, and it works. To the right of it, which you should be able to see there, we have the Draeger M65. This is a very popular mask on the surplus market. It was used by West Germany during the Cold War and was only recently replaced. Now, this mask has one fault with it, so I will get into that first. And this isn't so much a fault of the mask as it is with the wearer. It was designed with a very particular head shape in mind, which is the shape of sort of a very Germanic face, basically. If you do not have the right facial features and wear this mask, it will not make an airtight seal. A lot of people have issues with this mask around the chin area. This isn't so much a flaw in the mask as it is the sort of jawline that a lot of people have. If you have a slightly fatter jawline, you will make a better seal with this mask because there's more flesh to take up the sort of empty space. But I will say that as a warning. While it is one of the cheapest effective masks you can get on the surplus market, and I think it's a very good mask for what it is, please do be advised that you may have issues with, obviously, getting an airtight seal. So if you're worried you might not get an airtight seal, I would avoid this mask. Now, in the bottom row, we have 2 exceptionally good masks. On the very left, we have the Avon CT12, but for all accounts and purposes, an FM12 or an S10 or any of the S10 variants would be equally as good. The CT12 is personally my favourite mask out of any of the ones I own, but there's all sorts of different factors people might consider which they might, prefer one over the other. I would say that the CT12 and FM12 are better than the S10 series because there's a successor to it. However, these masks are all very good. An S10 I would be very happy to have in some sort of scenario where I needed a mask. It's just out of the option of the 2, I think the CT12 and FM12 are the better masks. To the right of it, we have the Forsheda F2 A4. Now, while this is a very good mask and very similar to the CT12, I will say one thing about it. Many sellers of these are trying to scam people by telling them that these are like brand new masks that were made in the last couple of years. If you buy one of these masks and check the date on it, you will most likely find it's from the 1990s because the production run on these masks was in the 1990s. So if you order one from a seller claiming it is a brand new mask, made in the last couple of years, check the date on it, and if they have sold you a mask that's in the wrong period, try and get a refund or a partial refund and keep the mask. Simply because I think there's been some sort of dodgy supplier that has told lots of stores selling these masks that they are brand new. The stores themselves haven't checked the dates on them, and since I've told people about this after having my own experience, luckily the seller I got it from was very good. The seller gave me a partial refund and let me keep the mask rather than me sending it back and getting a full refund. And so since I've said that, many people have commented on my videos saying that they've checked the dates and found they've been scammed as well. Not necessarily by the sellers, but the sellers haven't bothered actually checking their stock once the supplier gave it them. So be advised, these are 1990s masks, most likely at the bottom right, the Forsheda F2 A4s, not the actual 2012 newer production models that they are supposedly told by their suppliers. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is show you putting on each of these masks and running through them in order, and we're also going to have a look at gas mask satchels as well. So first we will start with the Israeli civilian mask, the 4A1, and this is a very simple mask, which is why I like it so much. It does its job, but it's simple. So what I'm also going to show you is satchels quickly before I put this on. Now, satchels are really easy. You can buy almost any military surplus gas mask satchel, or new ones, and they have room in there for the mask and the filter. You can comfortably hang them from your shoulder, so you've got room for the mask itself to be kept and spare filters should you need them. So, I'll put a filter on this mask in a second, but to demonstrate, this one is very easy to put on. As you can see, when I fully loosen them, or I haven't fully loosened the top strap, the straps hang very, very loose on this. This is because it's a one-size-fits-all mask, as said. So to put it on, put your chin into the mask and pull the straps over. Once the straps are over, just make sure you've got your head fully into the mask. Then start tightening the straps. And as you can see, I have the mask on. Now we'll do a pressure check. The mask is airtight. A pressure check's important if you're wearing a gas mask, to check that you actually have an airtight seal of the mask. If you don't have an airtight seal, the mask will not work. So what I'm going to do now is put a filter on it. As I said, all the masks I've featured in this video are 40mm NATO filters. The reason I have done that is 40mm NATO filters are generally easy to find at sensible prices. So you're not going to get ripped off, because the idea is 40mm NATO is a NATO standard size. Much like 5.56 ammunition is standardised, filters are standardised. So it means any NATO country of a 40mm filter will work with any other NATO 40mm mask. So, here I have an Mvc filter, that stands for nuclear biological chemical. The modern name for these now is CBRN, which is chemical, biological, radiological and nuclear. So, what I will do is screw the filter in. On this mask, the filter screws in at the front. You have to just bear with me while I get this in. It's always worth practicing putting filters on and off with the mask on, so you get a hand of how you need to change a filter on it if you needed to with the mask on in a contaminated environment. So, as you can see, the filter is now on. I am now protected from airborne sort of threats getting into my lungs and eyes. I've also said this in many other videos, but it's generally a good idea if you haven't got a full Mvc suit or don't want a full Mvc suit to get some sort of raincoat to give yourself limited protection. Obviously, many raincoats don't offer the same level of protection as a full-on chemical suit. However, with the right adjustments made, many commercial raincoats will give you much, much better protection than having nothing at all. So, as said, this is the Israeli 4A1 mask, a civilian mask. However, it is a very good mask. Often these are about £30 or $30 online. Many army surplus stores stock these, and in my opinion this is one of the best masks for a civilian to buy because of how easy to use it is and the one-size-fits-all nature. Now for the Draeger M65. As said, a very good mask, but for many people, including myself, I cannot get a good chin seal on it. So be advised that if you're buying one, make sure it will fit your face. So again, I haven't fully undone the straps of this one, but I will put it on and pull it tight. So, a very similar logic to the other mask, but as said, the chin is a weak point on this mask. You have to get these straps very tight indeed, if you don't have the right face shape for the mask, which I clearly don't think I have. However, if this mask does fit you, then this mask is very, very good. It's a high quality mask. As said, they are getting a bit old, but the mask itself is not important, it's the filter which is the most important part. The filter is what brings clean air into the mask. The only way a mask can fail is if the valves inside the mask fail or a split develops in the rubber. Most surplus masks, if they've been kept in a good condition, will outlive you, simply because the rubber has a very, very long life cycle. It's why rubber pollution, it's the same as plastics, is very, very bad for the environment because they don't naturally break down very well. So if you have a gas mask stored in a satchel in a cool, dark place, there is nothing that's going to go wrong with the mask if it initially works, because the mask is in good condition. So this is the Draeger M65. As said, this is probably the cheapest option from the list. Many places will have these for less than $20 or pounds, but be advised that make sure you check it fits you properly, because I, like many other people, have an issue where the chin doesn't quite fit me on the mask. So you have to really do it up uncomfortably tight to get it to make a good seal. So I personally advise against this mask if your budget allows you to get a better mask. However, I'd personally say with masks, what you want to be doing is spending a sensible amount on a mask that you're comfortable with using, and then rather than spending lots and lots of money on masks, you want to be spending more on getting spare filters. Remember, the filter is the most important part of the gas mask. It's actually what purifies the air coming in and actually into the mask. So rather than spending $200 to $300 from some places buying an absolutely brand new mask, simply buy one that is slightly aged but in very good condition. Most of these are new unissued masks, but they show a bit signs of old age from being stored, and then that way you have a perfectly functioning mask, but you have much more spare amounts of money to buy the filters, which are the part that saves your life, because most people would be on a budget for doing this. Now for the Avon CT12. As mentioned, any masks in the CT12 FM12 series are good, same as the S10 series, but I would preferably take a CT12 because it's my favourite design of the lot. It has a 6-point head harness with fabric straps which are very comfortable. I always put these on by putting the top section over my head first like this, then pulling the mask down. Once I have my face into the mask, I just tighten the straps. Being fabric, these are very easy to adjust. Then you have the mask on. So, as said with the other ones, this is a very, very competent mask. It has a good speech diaphragm. Now, one of the other good features of this mask is you can swap which side the filter goes on or install 2 filters. So that's a big advantage to the mask. This has a very clear field of view. It's very comfortable. I can see very well in this. It's got a good nasal oral cup as well, so very little fogging in the mask. Other people can hear you clearly, and it's all round a very good mask. I've spoken a lot about this mask in other videos, but it's personally my favourite gas mask because I find it gives me a very comfortable facial seal. I can see clearly out of it, people can hear me clearly. I can have 2 filters on the mask if I wanted, or a filter on either or side. And it's very, very good. And now for the Forsheda F2 A4. This is very similar to the CT12 in terms of quality. So whichever mask is easier for you to get at a sensible price, I would recommend. Now, personally, I find this mask is slightly more comfortable for me to wear than the CT12. However, because the CT12 allows the filter to be installed to either side of the mask, and this only allows the filter to be installed to one side of the mask, I find, personally, I find the other mask is better. However, both masks are very comfortable straps. They make a good seal. Personally, this mask is the best out of any of my collection at making a perfect seal with my face. So, once this is done up, I don't have to worry about breaking the seal at all with the mask. The CT12 also has a slightly better voice diaphragm in this mask, it's a bit clearer. So, there we go. This is a very comfortable mask, works very well. This would be one of my go-to masks if I needed one in an emergency. The military version of this, the Forsheda F2, or skid mask, whatever it's called in Swedish, 90, is got one of those things so you can put a filter on either side like the CT12, however this version doesn't. But, that being said, it's a very comfortable mask, a very good mask. It does everything from a mask I would want. So, just to cover the filter situation for those who don't know. So I said all these masks take 40mm NATO filters. You'd have to look for modern 40mm Mvc or CBRN filters to get the ones you want. Preferably ones in date. Unlike masks, filter date is much more important because once the filter's out of date it can expire much faster. I've covered this in the entire video because it's quite a complicated subject. However, it's not quite as easy as that. Because sometimes it can be hard to find actual Mvc or CBRN filters online. So what you have to do, if that's the case, is look for industrial 40mm filters. They will be the NATO Stanag thread, so they will fit all these masks. In that case, what you need to do is look for ABEC P filters. That is ABEK, or Alpha Bravo Echo Kilo, and then Papa at the end. That covers you against nearly every kind of industrial and war gas from the ABEC section. The P is the particulate protection, so dust, lots of biological weapons, things like that. An NBC or CBRN filter is an ABEC P filter, but in industrial they don't call them CBRN filters, they call them ABEC P filters. Again, you can find those on Amazon and most places for sensible prices if you look around long enough. So, there we go. Hopefully this has been a good video showing you what some of the best gas masks are for civilians on the market. But it will vary a bit in your country. Generally a good rule of thumb is, as long as it's a good quality mask, the military service mask of your country you can get normally on your own surplus market fairly cheaply, so it might undercut the prices of other models of mask for, you know, whatever you're paying for these, because it will vary from country to country a bit. But there you go, these are my top choices for the best gas mask for a civilian in 2017.